Most people, they allow how they feel or circumstances to dictate how they show up in those moments of decision. I talk about winning the moments. Like, what's required of me right now that I have control over? Let's go 1-0 with that one. Everyone's talking about win the day, win the day, win the day.
As people, we tend to overcomplicate and derail, you know, our intentions are good, but, you know, throughout the day. And, I mean, how do you win the day?
You can't win the day if you don't win the moment.
Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of the conversation that I had with my buddy Tom Reber from the Contractor fight over in the US. This was one conversation that went on so long, which normally happens when Tom and I talk, that we chopped it in half. And the first episode, we were talking specifically into success being an in and out game. In this part of the conversation, we are talking a lot more to building customer relationships and sales strategy. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you have any comments or feedback, leave them in the notes. Enjoy the show. Eating chips on the couch.
And I love chips, man. I really do.
Oh.
Like, I'm a salt, like salt or sweet. Give me salt all day. But,
yeah, I'm with you.
But dude, here's the thing, man. Like, salespeople, it's really the success that you're having or not having is going to come down to your personal discipline. Now, first, how you take care of you. Okay. Second, how you honor the commitments that you make. I mean, how many times have you looked at that phone of yours that we all have hanging out with us, and you're like, I should call back Joe Smith. And then you're like, yeah, but Joe Smith's a little pissed at me right now. Okay. See, that's the moment. That's one of those moments where you just got to dial. Okay. We teach this thing called UITs, unexpected intentional touches, as a way to generate leads from your own database that's already sitting there. I got guys in our program doing over $1 million a year from doing UITs, 3 UITs a day. 3 UITs a day times the number of working days in the year is about 800. And we've tracked this through the years, at about 5% of those annually convert to a new project. Okay. For a contractor, that's 40 new jobs a year. Okay. And here's a UIT. Hey, Matt, it's Tom from ABC Construction. We built that garage for you last year. Do you call it a garage in Australia, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you say garage?
Garage.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say.
No, I'm joking. We say garage, but in England they say. I knew where you were going with that.
But like, I'm like, hey Matt, we built that garage for you last year. How's it looking? That's a UIT. You give a shit, right? I mean, you're in marketing, man. You know this. How much time do we spend trying to get the new lead when we have a gold mine in our database, right? If you gave them a great experience and you reach out to them and you're like, just thinking about you. How's it looking? All right. Most of the time you're going to get, hey, it looks great. Thanks for checking in. Have a great day. Done. Okay. But on occasion you'll get, man, it looks great. And it's funny that you reached out today. My wife and I were just talking over the weekend about another project. Do you do this? And every time I talk to, not every time, but a lot of the times when I talk to a group, I will have everyone pull out their phone and send a UIT to a customer. All right. And I shit you not, every time I do this, by the time I get off stage, somebody has sold a project. Okay. So when I say the discipline, that's what can you be disciplined? And can you do that 3 times a day? Right. Can you prospect people that don't know you yet once a day? Can you do that? Salespeople are notorious for getting distracted, for chasing things that don't matter, spending time on things that don't matter. That's why we talk so much about discipline inside the contractor fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's almost a prophecy. We see it all the time. Like, and we've run the numbers on this in the past as well. Like the retention rate, you're 8 times more likely to retain or re-engage a past customer than you would be to get a new one. And truthfully, I think even when you start delving in that cold traffic space, it might even be 9 times more likely. If you've done a good job, it might even be 9 times. So but it's really common. Like people come to us all the time. I need more leads. I need more leads. I need more leads. And I'm like, cool, but let's not make this at the cost of your existing ones.
Right.
Because you've already paid. You've already got your foot in the door there. They've already qualified, like you've paid for that experience, that lead, maximize it. And so like a lot of the stuff we try and do with clients is to help them build a bit of a recurring model into their business, scheduled maintenance, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter, but just like don't neglect your your past customers.
Well, there's some crazy stat. By the way, did you know 67% of statistics are made up on the spot?
I did hear that.
Anyway, okay. So
maybe it's not made up.
It's somewhere in the 80% range, 85% range, that people are 85% more likely to hire you, give you money again if they gave you money before and had a good experience.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The stat, it's like you're eight times more likely, 80%.
Okay. Oh, see, I got to keep up with you, man. You're like,
I'll dull it down for you.
So, thanks, buddy. Yeah. Idiot, you got to idiot proof it for me. But yeah,
we're on the same page. We got there, right?
Right. We got there, and we're on opposite sides of the world right now.
Yeah, so but yet the same page. Crazy.
And I still have a red face. Jesus. This lighting in here, it's crazy.
It's winter. It's a fun.
Yeah. Your lighting looks really good, by the way. Like,
no, well, you pay for these lights,
Damn. Yeah,
if I turned them off, I'd have a red face.
Mine are on. I think they're too bright. I'm going to have to dial them down. But yeah, so, it's, you have, I mean, what's a lead cost, right? Think about that, cost per lead, cost per sale. And yet you got people in your database. I got a dude I work with in the landscape industry. He's got between salespeople, people in the office, they got like 6 people that send 3 UITs a day, which is 18. That's their first task in the morning every day. Is everybody sends a personalized, and it's not a bulk message, it's a personalized text. 18 times, call it 5 days a week times 50 weeks, right? I get that right? That's 4,500 of these. He's been doing it, and about 5%, 225 landscape projects a year are generated from this, give or take. Call it a couple hundred. That he already paid for the lead. He already did marketing years ago. So,
and the other thing I'll say to that as well is, and we see this all the time because we deal with businesses that do projects, like in excess of 15, 20 odd K and above.
Yeah.
And when leads come into your business, they may not right there and then be ready to engage you for the opportunity they've come in for. You. If it's an ad, for example, opportunity created. Yeah. Maybe they're ready. Maybe they're not. If it's a really big ticket item like a home renovation, it's very unlikely they're going to pull the trigger on a $500,000 home renovation from seeing a Facebook ad.
Right.
So, you've got to have foresight there and we call it, it's not customer lifetime value, we call it lead lifetime value. Like that lead is in your business. The opportunity may not be right for them right at that point, but it may well be down the track, provided that you do the right things between now and then to be useful and informative and not try and ram sales down their throat every 10 minutes or just neglect them completely.
So, all right, break that down for me. Why do you call it lead value instead of customer?
Because they're not yet a customer, right? So
you're just saying the broad lead, they're not, because we had a guy that just posted a day or two ago in our group. He's like, I had nothing to do when I went into my database and I looked up all these dead leads that I had. And he's like, I called like 10 or 12 of them. And he's like, one of the people ended up, they never did the project. And he's like, I sold a $50,000 project to him because I followed up and they weren't a customer. So that's where you're going. Okay.
Happens all day.
Yeah.
And that's where most people think they need more and more leads. But what they really need is truthfully a better system of getting back in front of their existing customers or people that are not yet customers, but could be down the track. Clearly showed intent at some point. So, just being useful, informative, and getting back in their space. And that's where we like to help get customers to start leveraging their own content, because that's a really great way for them to get back in the space of these people that have clearly shown an interest, but they just didn't pull the trigger then.
Yeah. I know this is your show, but I have a question for you.
Yeah, fire.
If you can wave a magic wand over the average salesperson, what would you change?
I'd probably truthfully change the structure of the process. And I don't mean that in the sense of like necessarily having to redesign like the outcome, but I think the journey to get there shouldn't have to be so templated.
So more customized?
Less custom, or more customized in a sense to the individual. Yeah.
Yeah.
But less cliche and less sort of do this, then this, then this, then this, then this to get here, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And I
That
think
makes
that's
sense.
the thing that pisses me off at the moment with, I think, like our own process and then processes I see everywhere. You know, I just feel like there's like so much of it is so cliche and copy and paste and following some guru's template, which might have worked for them, but like, you know, it doesn't have your own flavor to it.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I'm not a big fan of scripts. I'm a fan of frameworks. Like we talk about motive. That's step one in our process. Excuse me.
Is that why TV didn't work out for you?
Probably. Touche. Yeah,
Follow the script, Tom.
I was.
I'm good. I got my framework over here. I'm good.
So what's funny is you have these okay, you know, you watch a reality TV show, and they like if you see like the host standing in front of the house and the house is blurred out in the back and you're like looking at the camera and you're like, you know, what Matt's issue here is he really has to get his head out of his ass or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Those are called pickup shoots. Okay. And a pickup shoot is where somebody back at the home office of the network is looking at all the edited stuff. And in the edits, they need lines or phrases or paragraphs to tie things together. And they would send these things that I had a script in front of me, but I had to memorize it and look at the camera because there wasn't like a teleprompter. And so, because of the way they shoot it. Well, dude, it used to piss me off. This is so funny. It used to piss me off because whoever wrote these had no idea how to use punctuation, right? So like there'd be no commas, there'd be no, and it would be a 10 to 12 hour day that they would fly me in to do pickup shoots, and I'd want to hang myself, man. Like, anyway, it's, you know, oh, poor me. But the point is yeah, I hate scripts.
Have you seen that meme where it's like, let's eat, comma, grandma, and then
Yes.
it says, let's eat, grandma. Be
Yes.
careful, punctuation saves lives.
Yep. So I would have to do like each line in all these different ways, and then maybe they'd use one. So yeah, I don't like script. I like frameworks,
B-roll,
man.
basically.
Frameworks. And a framework is this. It's like, you know, in your sales, what's the motive? You know, people buy for pain or pleasure. What's their motive for wanting to do the project? All right. Another story that I tell in the book. My wife and I, we got married in 2020, August of 2020. We had the perfect venue picked out that overlooked Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs, the best view in the city and all this other shit. Dude, we walk in with this appointment with the wedding planner chick, and nice to meet you, have a seat. She takes these folders, slides them in front of us, opens them up to the pricing packages, and she goes, which package do you want to do? My wife and I look at each other and we're like, what the fuck? Here's what sucks. That salesperson, because she wasn't coached, nobody invested in her. If they did, she didn't pay attention to it. All right. How to connect with somebody, right? The venue we ended up choosing was a subpar venue, and it was 50 grand less than I would have spent at this other place. And I would have been way happier to spend the 50 grand more to have the wedding of our dreams. All she had to do, all this girl had to do was go, really, honestly, we know how this works at a wedding, look at my bride to be and say, Lee, tell me about your perfect wedding day.
Yeah, right.
And shut your fucking mouth. That's the sales process right there. This chick couldn't ask one question, you know, and there was an arrogance, and it was all about her making the sale. It was the spirit of it. It was just shitty. So, this is your edge in sales, you guys, is just that personal discipline of showing up prepared. I mean, you know, my son and I, one of my sons, I took him to the Denver Nuggets game last week, and we had cool seats, like literally right behind the Nuggets bench. My kid was in heaven, man. It was awesome. Those guys, it's game time. They don't show up unprepared for a game. Yet salespeople show up unprepared multiple times a day for game time, right? They don't role play. They don't do their research. They don't check their tonality. They don't have anyone critiquing them. They don't take care of themselves. They eat like shit. All these things stack and they compound in one direction or another. And that's why I believe most salespeople suck, is because they don't understand that it's truly an inside out game.
Mm-hmm. Do we want to get into setting goals? Hang on. No, I'm reading the wrong one. The true cost of mediocre sales days.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, man. That's scary. It's so scary in a good way. So let's talk about mediocrity. How I define, let's flip it. A non-mediocre day, a non-mediocre sales day to me is a day where you control the things you have control over. I can't control if you buy something from me, right? Like that's just not, it's not possible. Okay. And I've just seen, I did a talk, God, when was it? Not quite a year ago, for a bunch of commercial painters that are all doing like 20 million plus a year, larger sales teams and this and that. And I brought up this idea of mediocre sales days, meaning, okay, we talked about UITs a minute ago. Let's just take UITs. It's something that I have control over. I can do first thing in the morning every day when I get to work, right? And check it off my box. You talked about a book earlier about doing the hardest thing, right? Which was probably Eat That Frog. Was that the book, Brian Tracy?
No, it wasn't.
No?
I actually just finished a Brian Tracy book about productivity, but no, it wasn't that one.
Okay, but that same, concept.
Win the morning or win the
day, win the morning, whatever.
Win the morning.
Yeah. So the point is, a mediocre sales day is when you don't check the boxes on the things that you have 100% control over. Okay. So for instance, there's an average of 260 or so sales days a year when you take out weekends and holidays and all that other garbage, right? What we've determined through the years of doing a bunch of workshops and stuff, dude, and I poll people and we've had thousands of these conversations through the years, is basically the average salesperson has about 2 mediocre sales days a week on average out of 5 days a week. Okay. And again, a mediocre sales day is a day you're not working on your non-negotiable activities, if you want to just use that phrasing. Like
so a mediocre day doesn't mean they haven't sold anything. It just means
Correct.
They haven't done their task. Okay.
You haven't checked the box of what you have control over, right? Because you brought up James Clear and the habits and all the things compound and they stack.
Yeah.
So 2 days a week times, there's balloons popping up on the thing. I don't know. 2 days a week. I'm looking at data I have here on my other screen here. That's why I keep looking this way. 2 days a week multiplied by 50 weeks a year is 100 mediocre sales days a year. That's 38% of your available sales days. Think about that, right? Where you're not controlling what you have total control over. And so if you have a salesperson who has a goal of $2 million, that's around $7,700 a day that they need to sell on average. Okay. So 100 mediocre sales days multiplied by $7,700 is about, $750,000 that I believe they're leaving on the table when, again, it doesn't mean you're closing a deal every day, but the activities that lead to that, because your sales results are a lagging indicator.
Lag metric, exactly.
Right. So, so I was at this event and there was a woman business owner there who we did this exercise where I had everyone pull out a calculator, and she had $20-30 million business, whatever it was. I think she employed 5 salespeople out in the field, and I had everyone do their own math. And I looked at her, I said, how much are they leaving on the table? And she was like, I am not sharing this number. Like she was not sharing the number. And so, as a leader, I told her, I said, this is a simple fix. It really is. It's going to require you to set a new standard of what it means to be a salesperson in this company. And you got to live that out yourself and be the example as well. If you want to eliminate the mediocre sales days in your organization right now, it starts with you. Success is an inside out game. You got to look in the mirror and go, what am I tolerating? What am I allowing? Matt, if you worked in sales for me, I wouldn't care really if you closed a deal today or not. I mean, obviously I do in the macro, right? What I care about is, did you prepare? Did you role play? Did you do the training? Did you make the follow-up calls? Did you make your UIT calls or connections? Like, and if I could look at those things and you're checking those boxes and still not selling, okay, at least we've eliminated one of the possible problems, right? Is your lack of discipline. You know, if you're showing up and you're just rocking and rolling and putting the work in, then maybe we need some further training on the way that you're gathering information. Maybe the leads are shitty, right? I don't know. There's so many different possibilities, but I just think this whole mediocre sales day is killing so many businesses. I mean, I don't care what you do. There are, and I see this, I think this resonates more with me because I see so many business owners and contractors come to us and they go, I need to hire a salesperson. And I'm like, why do you need to hire a salesperson? They're like, and they give me whatever reasons. And then when we start breaking down the math and how they're using their time and how their existing salespeople are using their time and how they're being tracked, what I realize is you don't need another salesperson. You need some more discipline, right? You just need to, I mean, the amount of time that the average employee who's not in the field painting or building something wastes each day is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not because they're bad people. It's just, we all do it if we're not careful.
Sure. Yeah, I think as well the other thing about the daily habits and just the agility aspect that connects to that, being able to, and you kind of alluded to it then, whether you meant to or not, but if something is off track and it's in constant monitoring, it's really easy to pull it back in.
Yeah.
Whereas if you let things get too far down the track, truthfully, even like a week or a week's a quarter of a month, if you're doing it tracking monthly or weekly, it's too long sometimes. Like you can't tighten the reins on it, when it gets that far away. I think that was one of the things we also covered, years ago in the podcast.
Yeah.
We talk about goal setting. Like people go, oh, in 12 months I want to have this, and you're like, okay, but like, what are the action steps to get to that? Because that's just a dream until you actually put some steps in place.
Yeah. I think, you want to, what do they say? You want to go big, you go small.
Yeah.
If you really want to grow your business big, focus on the small little details.
Correct. Yeah. It's the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, right? The 1%.
Yeah. Or, Andy Frisella talks about, scale the unscalable, the handwritten notes that you can't scale writing handwritten notes, right? Like you can't automate it. But that's one of those disciplines. I mean, think if you're a salesperson right now, if you did one outreach a day to somebody that's not your customer, okay? If you did 3 UITs and wrote one handwritten note, compounded that over the next 12 months, what the hell do you think would happen in your business?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But we get bored of the mundane, boring stuff. We want the sexy things. We want the big things. I think, social media is another thing that I think so many salespeople are not using correctly, business owners, like it's a gold mine. It truly is a gold mine when you like show us what's going on in your company. If you're a sales guy, you're on the job site, go live from a job site. Go, man, I'm so proud of this team. This is why when I sell a project, I know we're going to deliver, because of these guys. Here's Sam. He's been a crew leader here for us for X amount of years and blah, blah, blah. Give Sam a high five. Like, show us your people. Be real, But again, salespeople are generally lazy. Sorry, but it's true. They're like baby birds waiting for the Google gods to give them a lead, with their mouths open going, feed me, but they won't lift a finger to fill their own pipeline. Right. And that's what good times do, by the way, because back in 2008 and that recession, prior to that, before that hit, leads were flowing like crazy. You could just be an order taker as a salesperson. And I think we've created kind of a generation here of salespeople that are just order takers, where they don't understand the relationship building skills and the hand-to-hand combat and the consistency and some of those things that are required when Google isn't handing you a lead every hour on the hour. So
let's talk through Peel, Don't Pounce. What's that about?
All right. Have you ever asked a prospect a question? And okay, I'll give you an example. Many years ago, I'm standing in this guy's foyer and I said, hey, what prompted you to have me out today, to paint your house or to give you a bid or whatever it was. And he went on and shared how even though the paint job is relatively new, there were some things they're not happy with and some of the areas of the house. The painters left a mess. His wife had to babysit him. He was out of town the whole week they were there, and his wife had to babysit him. And every night when he called to say goodnight to his wife and kids, she would yell at him because he chose the painting company. And pouncing would be when a prospect gives you, oh, the last guy left a mess. Most of us, if we're not trained and disciplined, are going to go, well, we never leave a mess, and we have a checklist that we follow. We Swiffer all the floors of the room, and you just start like throwing up on people, where the elite salesperson is going to go, Matt, you mentioned that your wife had to clean up after the painters every night for a week. Tell me more about that. Okay. It's peeling the onion back, right? Layer after layer after layer and not making assumptions. So this guy I was telling you about, it would have been really easy to make some assumptions. Long story short, by the time we never left his foyer and I sold, I don't know, it was a $28,000, $30,000 project. He didn't even know what the price was going to be, but because I kept peeling it back to what was really important to him. And what was really important to him was, I don't want my wife to have to go through that again. I mean, dude, this guy came home from traveling, had to sleep on the couch for 2 nights because his wife was pissed at him because of the contractor they hired, right? So it had nothing to do the roller nap and the spray tips and the technical things that most contractors think are important. It all was about the experience. And so back to our wedding planner issue, right? She made assumptions about what was important to us and spent no time peeling things back. Had she, or the basement floor guy that I dealt with, like if they would have just peeled some things back, okay, and not just pounced on the first sign of an opening to share how great we are, it would change the game. And I've just seen it over and over in my own life, the people we work with in our sales program and stuff. Like when you really learn how to peel things back, shut your mouth and let them talk, you're going to find out what's truly important to them. Because most people blame price right away. Why didn't they hire you? Why didn't you close that deal? Says the sales manager, the sales guy, and the sales guy, oh, it was out of their budget. No, it really wasn't out of their budget. You just didn't know how to connect with them about what was really important to them. Yes, there's always that percentage of people that it's truly out of the budget, but most people, it's another issue. And I think the root of peeling things back or playing what we call playing dumb is just being curious, right?
Like asking questions, right?
Yeah, just be curious.
And this kind of ties back to what I was saying before. Like I love the concept conceptually, yes, to get to the outcome, ask the questions. But I think so often it's too robotic and that, they're asking questions because they're on our sales script or whatever it is, instead of just asking questions because they're the right questions to ask,
Yep.
And I think that's sometimes where people trip up.
Yeah, when you ask a question with curiosity, the right spirit of the conversation, the right tonality, like a genuine interest in what's going on, you set yourself apart from everybody else, because most people are just, when the prospect's talking, they're formulating their next answer. And I just believe, and I've seen it over and over and over, that the real secret sauce in the sales process is connecting with another human being. And you can't do that if you're not genuinely curious about what's important to them. And when you figure it out, even if your solution is not the best thing for them, right? Because sometimes you've had people like that where you talk to a prospect, right, for the site shed, and you're just like, dude, I don't think it's a good time for you to do this. And here's why. There's a genuineness about that will endear them to you forever. I've had that happen hundreds of times in the fight where we've talked to people, said, you're not a good fit right now. Here's why. And they come back 3-4 years later and, because, that's how we treated them. So,
and this is what I was saying before about like the lead lifetime value, like that, the opportunity right there. And they might not have been the right fit for your program right there and then because of like maybe they weren't the right avatar or whatever it might have been. But it doesn't mean that the individual is not right. It just means that right then and there it's not right. And I think people are so easy just to dismiss and, not he's a dickhead or she was a bitch and whatever. Don't want to like.
They're just cheap.
Exactly. Or blame the price, like you say. When truthfully, there's probably, there's probably more at play there, and as a result, more at stake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's patience is a big thing in the sales process. The people you work with and I work with, they're not selling $75 products. They're selling something that's multiple thousands of dollars. That's a big chunk of money to people. And I think just pull it back and play the long game with people. Like I said, most salespeople, they pounce like a lion on its prey at the first sign of an opening, where have that discipline to pull back and just go, hey, that's curious that you brought that up. Talk to me more about that. What is you've mentioned a quality job 4 times in the last 5 minutes there, Matt. Can you tell me what you mean by a quality job? Again, make no assumptions. Don't make an assumption that somebody's hiring you because of price. Okay. That's like 5th, 6th, or 7th on the list on all the sales data that's out there. Is price is not the top of the list. Yeah. People will always find the money for the things that they feel are important to them and that they see value in. I hear it over and over and over again with our clients who sell big ticket projects is they get hired because the client will, and I've seen the screenshots of the text and all this. I felt like you really listened to me. I felt heard. I felt, that whole, that concept of every interaction you have with another human being, just picture they have a sign around their neck that says, make me feel important. Sure. Most salespeople don't do that. So you do that, you're uncommon like that.
Mm-hmm. Mate, I love it. I think this is, I'm looking forward to this book. When's it due out?
May of 2024.
Ooh, that'll be right around when this goes live, I think.
Sweet.
Yeah. That could be. Is that going to be on Amazon?
It'll be on Amazon. Yeah, we're having a launch webinar at some point that will get some info out to people. I think I'm pulling it up right now. What's the domain here? /
thecontractorfight.com/sell-unafraid.
Sell-unafraid. There it is. You got it, man. Look at that.
Wow, and I'm that good. Yeah. I could read your mind. That's what happens in the future.
Oh, Jesus. That's good shit. But there's a lot of pressures in the world, a lot of pressures to run in a business. I think we didn't touch on this. I know we'll wrap this up in a second, but I just want to say this, like when you show up with empathy for your prospects, it's truly a differentiator. Slow things down, be more patient, go to people where they're at. You brought up, Matt, like the cookie cutter sales process is like, because it doesn't work for everybody. And so I think if salespeople in general could just show more empathy, learn to peel some things back, obviously show up, with the discipline that we talked about earlier, those things alone, you have elevated yourself, right? Because one of the biggest things I struggled with when I was knee deep selling paint projects and stuff for years was how do I communicate to somebody in the sales process that we're really different, before you're in the home, how many times have you heard like people hired the wrong contractor and they didn't know till they got in the home. Right. And I think this is one of those things that is a differentiator for you, is the way that you communicate. And
so it's funny you bring that up, because one of the biggest things that we do with our clients, when they come to us, they don't come for. We're not coaches, by the way. We don't none of that. But like we do consult on how to get the best value out of the program that we sell them, and part of that is how to sell using this program. But one of the big things that we do unpack for them is how can we make you stand out against your competitors. We call it your unique mechanism, but how do we package this in a way which helps you stand aside from Joe down the road, who's essentially selling the same thing, because you get in that race otherwise where you just become a commodity and it's like, well, your solar panels are this much and his is this much and, just a race to the bottom. So you can really differentiate yourself with process, and you can really differentiate yourself with, that your mechanism on how you operate. Here's the funny thing, Tom. Most of the businesses actually have this already, but they've just never packaged it. Like most operators out there already have something in there that's uniquely theirs.
Yeah.
You just need to unpackage it.
So
put a bow on it, roll it later.
That reminds me, 1,000 years ago with our painting company, we were always like, what is our unique differentiator, right? Or our USP or whatever you want to call it. People would say, Tom, why should I hire I used to hate this question. Why should I hire your company, not ABC Painting or whatever? And at one day, it just came out of my mouth. I said, Matt, that's a great question. I could tell you about the awards we've won, the training we do of our people, the number of jobs we do. So I'm kind of making the case a little, right? Social proof, right? But then I go, what I really feel sets us apart and may or may not be important to you is the way that we pre-plan a project. Most people have issues with contractors nickel and diming them at the end and things they didn't expect, or they'll have issues with the timing of the job or completion dates or a mess. I said, we got this crazy pre-planning, and we did. We have this crazy pre-planning process that eliminates pretty much all the issues people have with a project, because it's usually not the work, it's everything that surrounds the work that people get pissed about. And so if that's important to you, then we're probably going to be a good fit. And dude, here's what's funny. My competitors were pre-planning jobs too. Most of them, the reputable ones are, right? The good companies are. We were just the only ones that told people about it, right? There was a beer company. I use this analogy all the time, and maybe but let's just say there was some process, call it cold filtering, right? That's a beer process. I don't know if this is the process. Back in the 70s or 80s, one of the beer companies had crazy growth, and basically, say it was cold filtering. Everybody was doing cold filtering of the beer. They were just the only ones that used it in their marketing, said it's cold filtered. And sales went through the roof, and everyone else is like, we all do that. Then this company was like, yeah, but I told everybody about it, So sometimes it's those things you're already doing that you take for granted that you think everybody knows are important, ends up being your, differentiator. So.
Mate, it's been a great chat. We'll have to leave it not so long between talks next time.
Absolutely. We got to get you on my show, man.
Yeah, sure. We'd
Make that happen and bring some of that wisdom our way.
What's the best place for people to get hold of you? I mean, you're the Contractor Fight everywhere, right?
Yeah, contractorfight.com is the best place. And super appreciate you having me, man.
I've got your email, so I'll put that in the show notes. And for you guys out there that are listening or watching this, do yourselves a favor and get in Tom's space. It's good stuff over there.
I appreciate it, man.
Mate, I'll let you get on with your evening. Thank you so much for your time. If you listeners and viewers, if you've got any questions or if you have any insight or anything we discussed here, I'd love to hear it. Drop it in the comments, reply to the emails, let us know. And I'm sure if there's any questions there that we haven't answered, I could be as cheeky to ask Tom to come back on and answer those for you. So just head him my way.
Anything you need, buddy.
All right, Tom, mate, I appreciate that once again. And that is a wrap. New Zealand-based home renovation company, 6,593% ROAS. Sydney-based solar company, 2,700% ROAS. Hunter region-based bathroom renovation company, 5,616% ROAS. Melbourne-based building company, 13,182% return on ad spend. Adelaide-based solar company, 2,881% return on ad spend. Guys, the list goes on and on. If you're a trade-based business and you work with projects like roofing, solar, bathroom renovations, kitchen renovations, anything like that, head across to tradie.wiki/pod for podcast. Tradie.wiki/pod for podcast. Book in a conversation. It is game changing.